Every summer top 100. Every summer top 100. He's got a voice that's really the bomb. He'll make a choice that'll aggravate Tom. I hate to spoil it, but when all's said and done, Merchant of Venus gonna be number one. Every summer top 100. Yeah.
You know, you're really good at this music stuff, right?
Yeah, sure.
You think maybe you could whip up a few numerical intros for like 90 to 81?
Dad, you can't rush art.
I mean, you just do your little plinky thing on the piano. It won't take any time at all.
Oh, you're not gonna pay me for this?
I feed you.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You mean like this, right? Just like my dad's fashion sense, it's time to say goodbye to the 90s. He made a mistake and now it's too late, and so you'll have to hear me design these. Number 90.
Number 90. Sulkin.
For some reason, this set has a lot of games that I don't actually have in my collection, and we'll begin with number 90, Sulkin. This is a game, it's a Mayan-themed game, worker placement, but the way that you do the placement of those workers is very interesting. You have this board full of gears, and you'll place your workers on these gears, and every turn those gears rotate, moving your worker along. And the longer you leave them on the gear, the more powerful the action is. So it's very much a timing game of how you position your workers and wait just that one extra turn to get the really cool action that you really want. But you only have so many workers, so you have to pull some of them off while leaving that one that's really going to be useful on those gears. It's a really cool puzzle, the way it all comes together. Very, very fun. Number 90, Sulkin.
My father's dancing used to be fine, but now it's kinda cringe and it's time for number 89.
Number 89. So Clover.
So Clover debuts on the list at number 89. This is a word game in which you have this frame, a clover-shaped frame in which you are going to be placing square cards, and you're giving clues that matches the combination of the words that exist on that side of your clover board. So here you've got a house and firefighter, and you might write station on it as the clue. But then you remove all these cards, and everybody as a team has to try and figure out what arrangement your cards were. Oh yeah, and you also draw one randomly from the deck just to muck things up as much as possible. This is one of those that I don't really score all that, strictly. There is sort of a ultimate completion. You score how quickly you manage to get the answers right, if you do it on the first try or need a second try, a second attempt. But it's just fun to try and figure things out, to suss out the team's goal in So Clover.
Thanks for watching the Top 100. We're on number 88. My dad would like to apologize 'cause his songwriting's not that great.
That's both a deep cut and incredibly mean.
Number 88. Fine Sand.
Number 88 is Freedom and Freese's Fine Sand, a game which just barely made the top 100 3 years ago. It's moved forward just a little bit. Fine Sand is a deck deconstruction game. It feels a lot like a deck building game, but it's really that you start out with a ton of these cards and you are trying to get them out of your hand by using them to pay for themselves and placing them out in a tableau in front of you. The theme is about building sandcastles, so you have some sandcastle cards you just build to get out of your deck. You can pass cards to your opponents. There's a cool mechanism that if not everyone has passed cards to their left, then they stay there in that sort of discard pile. But as soon as everyone has a card to take, they all have to take the card that their neighbor gave them. And the object is to get basically rid of your entire deck of cards. Once you have drawn all of your cards and the game is going to end, and you're trying to have as few as possible. There's also a a fable system. This was something that Freedom and Freeze was doing during this particular period of time that adds more cards to the system. Basically gives you a different set of cards each time you play, which I like, but I haven't had a chance to play as many games utilizing those new sets because I'm usually playing with new people. This one's very charming. I really like this one. I want to get it to the table. I often find myself pushing to get this one to the table more often. I think it has a lot going for it, and I almost wish it's hit the table more often. That's Fine Sand at number 88.
The top 100's jokes are kinda dull. They could use some slapstick here and there. So let's all do a quick examination. At number 87, and my dad's decaying hair.
Number 87, Founders of Rome.
Foundations of Rome at number 87 is new to the list. It's a brand new game. I love Emerson Matsushi's designs, and this is no exception. It sort of meshes the grid-based aspect of, say, Chinatown or Acquire, with some gorgeous production values with those miniature buildings and all sorts of cool things that you're building. It's got a little bit of, I wouldn't say push your luck, but sort of speculation. I will hopefully be able to acquire this particular plot of land and be able to build that building that I really, really want. But the quicker you build buildings, the more you get those benefits of those buildings. Really cool, simple, straightforward gameplay, but a lot of depth in the way that it all plays out. It's a gorgeous game, Foundations of Rome.
Yeah, my dad is old. Number 86.
Now you're not even trying.
Number 86, Clask.
Clask is number 86 this time. That front doesn't really show you much, except for this tiny little thing there in the corner. You can sort of see that's the shape of the board. This is a dexterity game. This shows a much better look at what it is. It's a big table where you can reach underneath and maneuver your piece. You have like a little magnetic wand that moves this mover all over the board. You're trying to score goals, sort of like any sort of air hockey sort of game. So if you get the ball in your opponent's hole, you score a point. But you can also score a point by causing them to lose control of their piece. Like if they get too wacky and they fling their piece onto your side of the board and they can't reach it with their magnetic wand anymore, that's a point. There are little magnetic barrier stones, pieces, that will attach to your mover. So you get too close to them and they fly at you and they stick on you. You get 2 of those on your piece, your opponent's going to score a point. And if you fall into your own goal, you've basically trapped your own piece, you're going to score a point. It is fast, it's furious, it's ridiculous, but it's a really nice looking game. I've had this for several years now and it's still holding up and makes appearances at game nights. It's a lovely dexterity adventure. Clask.
When my dad graduated high school, cell phones didn't exist. So of course he talks to me like he's as old as the next number on our list. Kazoo solo!
No,
What?
enough. It's long enough already.
Okay.
Just say the number.
It's number 85.
Number 85, Ready, Set, Bet.
Ready, Set, Bet at number 85 is the first of 3 John D. Clare designs on my list. It's brand new this time. Ready, Set, Bet is a horse racing game where you are placing bets to see which horses manage to win in a particular race. But what really puts it on the list for me is the way those horse races play out. It's all done with die rolls in sort of real time. And so you start rolling the dice and horses will pull ahead and move forward. And as it goes, you're starting to place those bets. You can see a horse pull ahead. Ooh, I gotta take advantage of that. But of course, the faster you place those bets, the better chance you have of paying out bigger. And of course, you're competing with everybody else at the table and taking speculation and going for those wacky bets of no one moves more than 4 spaces and wacky stuff and big exciting finishes in Ready, Set, Bet. Number 85.
My songs are cool. My dad's a bore. Now let's listen to him ramble about 84.
Number 84. Wavelength.
Wavelength has dropped a little bit since the last time I did this. It was number 29 when I did the list 3 years ago. Well, I don't own it. It's not here. But it is a lovely party game. I just haven't had a chance to play it as often. Wavelength is a game of sort of gauging the rest of the group. You are given some sort of spectrum. Tasty to not tasty, and you are given a position on a dial, and so you might have to place it right here at the 2 o'clock position. Is that what that would be? 10 o'clock position. I have to flip it in my head. And so what item would you say fits that 10 o'clock position toward tasty and not tasty? Here. And so you might say, oh, I don't know, fish tacos. And then the rest of the group has to determine, well, do I know Eric that well? Does he like fish tacos? Maybe not as much as traditional tacos. So where would I put that on the scale? And so the group then decides, well, I think that's probably around an 11 o'clock on the scale. And you flip it open and see how close you were to the target position of the dial. Very unique game, offers all sorts of great discussion options. It's a lovely one. Wavelength, number 84.
Back in my day, number 83 was Carcassonne. Now it's just a game that's been long dethroned. That's my you impression. Is it any good?
No.
This is my cane.
Yeah, I got it.
Cool.
Number 83. Entdecker.
Entdecker, at number 83, has had quite the adventure over the years. It used to be one of my top-rated games. It's a Klaus Teuber design, sort of one of the lesser-known ones. He did this game called Catan. You may have heard of it. This is an exploration game where you have tiles. It's a big grid, and you will sail out from one side of the board with your ship, and you have to pay for the expedition. So there are some areas of the board that's free to sail out of, but then you have to pay for each tile that you sail from, or you can go from like the top of the board and pay money to leave from there. And it's sort of a wagering game because you pay for your tiles first and then start drawing them with the hope of finding islands. And then if you find that, well, then you can colonize that island by putting out one of your pieces, and it becomes an area control sort of game. So if somebody finds a particularly lucrative island, you're trying to explore from a different direction so that you can get in there and maybe place more influence on that island. It's moved all over the place in my estimation. Where is it now? It's number 83 now. It's been 70s, 90s, 30s, 40s. It still sticks around in the top 100 because I played a lot of Entdecker when I was first getting into this hobby, and it's really fun to discover something. You know, that surprise of I headed out and I didn't know what I'd find, and ta-da! There's this chunk of island that could become huge. And so that's why Entdecker is still hanging around.
The storage pod was bad, or Dad's game room is stupid because he bumped this great game down to 82 pid.
Number 82. Mice and Mystics.
I'm sensing some anger from the child on Mice and Mystics at number 82. Mice and Mystics is Jerry Hawthorne's first storytelling game. It's an adventure game where you are playing denizens of a castle that have been magically transformed into mice, and you're trying to defeat the evil wizard to sort of save the castle. And you're running around all different parts of the castle, the dining room, the kitchen, the sewers, and of course you're tiny, so the enemies you're facing are roaches and rats and a cat that comes in and tries to swat you around. It's lovely in its presentation. The story is so compelling. It has these two-sided tiles. You construct the map for a particular adventure and flip them over. Like you may open up a tile and go underneath, and then you flip it over and you're in the sewers. I love how the board transforms for each adventure, and some detail that wasn't important for the first adventure that you had this particular tile. Now it's very important. You have to go find the mushrooms in the corners of this tile. There's Mice and Mystics. There's a couple of mini expansions. There's the Downward Tales expansion. Have really enjoyed it. Now, the reason it's fallen a little bit, for one thing, Mice and Mystics, I think, is showing its age a little bit. The combat is a little older. It takes a little longer than I would like, not quite as smooth. So it's at the bottom amongst the Jerry Hawthorne games. But as a whole, the Jerry Hawthorne storytelling games have fallen a little bit because, in my mind, this is a family gaming experience. I play these with my kids, and my kids are getting a little older, as you've noticed. And we're not getting these to the table as often. So other games are sort of moving in front of them to prominence. They're still excellent games. I love Mice and Mystics. I would not hesitate to play a round of Mice and Mystics, especially if somebody hadn't played it before. A great adventure, swords and sorcery with mice. Really, really fun. At number 82, still very, very strong, Mice and Mystics.
We've reached the end. I'm finally done. I hope you all had a load of fun. And Dad'll finish this with a stupid pun, so ignore it and focus on 81. Dad's old gray hair. It's time for number 81.
Number 81, Terra Mystica.
Terra Mystica rounds out this group at number 81. It's a game of it's area control, I guess is the way you do it. But you can only build on a particular terrain type. So the board starts out with all sorts of terrains, but you have to basically terraform into the terrain type that you need it to be in order to build your buildings. So sometimes that's just one little notch. So there's sort of like a circle of terrains that you can work your way around. But others are pretty far away, and you might need to spend lots of shovel actions to get around to where you can build. And of course, you're trying to do this while bunching up against your opponents, but there's benefits to being near your opponents in Terra Mystica. Each faction plays a little bit different, and I haven't even come close to mastering really any of the factions. I love the puzzle, though, and it's a blast to play with my group. It just isn't in my own collection. Number 81, Terra Mystica.
What did you think?
I guess it's kind of what I asked for, and I really blame myself.
I got like 80 more of those where that came from. I can finish it off for you if you want.
You know what? Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was great. I think I'm going to go in a different direction. Folks, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
What, you don't respect my art?
Every summer, top 100. Every summer, top 100. Every summer, top 100. Every summer, top 100.